Okay, it is 5:17. We'll go ahead and start the meeting and call the meeting to order. I think our first line of business is to do the roll call. Sir Watt is here. Michael?
Here.
Miles is here. Geronimo is not here. And Tuan is not here today. Okay, and we'll move to the approval of the agenda, which is 1.2. Approval of the agenda, and my understanding is that there is an item 4.8 that we're going to pull, which is an agreement. And so I would look for a motion to approve the agenda with the inclusion of pulling 4.8.
I motion.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, 3-0. That's we pulled 4.8 and approved the rest of the agenda. Now we will go to the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, if you can stand, if you're able, that would be great. And the flag's right here. Right hand over the heart and ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Please be seated. Okay, we are going to go into public comment, and then we can also confirm that everybody else, all of our schools are online tonight at their locations. So is there any public comment here tonight?
We do not have any public comments here in person today. I will check if there is any public comments about our school sites. Vista Charter Middle School, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
Vista Horizon Global Academy, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Vista Palm Lane Global Academy, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Vista Meridian Global Academy, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Vista Lago Global Academy, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
That concludes the public comments.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will now move on to the consent calendar. We have items 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. It looks like all the way through 2.8. Okay, so I'll take a motion for the consent calendar.
A motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes 3-0. Sorry, I'm reading a little slow tonight. Do we have minutes? Oh, it is in the consent. I just didn't. Oh, the first one. I didn't see it. Thank you. Okay. All right. And so now we're on to the information for Superintendent's Report 3.1. Dr. Felch.
All right. Thank you very much. As we get these slides up. Perfect. So we are going to start with our Employees of the Month and our Parent of the Month. And first with our Certificated Employee of the Month. We'd like to recognize Ms. Yesenia Ortiz from Palm Lane. And I'd like to share some words that her principal, Ms. Prado, shared when she was nominating her, and bear with me because there's a lot. It is with great pride and appreciation that I nominate Yesenia Ortiz for Staff of the Month. Since joining the Palm Lane family in 2022, I've had the privilege of working alongside Ms. Ortiz and have developed tremendous respect and trust in her professionalism, knowledge, adaptability, and willingness to always rise to the occasion. When I became principal at Palm Lane, Ms. Ortiz was a teacher I was fortunate to inherit, and I quickly recognized her as someone I could depend on to help elevate our school community. Over the years, she has continuously demonstrated flexibility and commitment through her strong work ethic, team-oriented mindset, and openness to teaching multiple grade levels, including 4th, 5th, and now 2nd grade. This school year especially highlighted Ms. Ortiz's dedication and leadership. When her partner teacher was on maternity leave and the remaining cohort faced inconsistency with substitute coverage, Ms. Ortiz openly stepped up to take on the additional students of the other cohort herself to provide stability and consistency for the students. Doubling her roster months into the school year was no small task, yet she stepped into the challenge selflessly and with the students' best interests at heart. Even with a class of nearly 30 students, Ms. Ortiz's students have made significant gains this school year, reflecting her expertise, strategic planning, and commitment to student success. Ms. Ortiz is someone you can always count on to do what's best for students, even if it demands more of herself. Daily, Ms. Ortiz embodies everything that Palm Lane stands for: heart, relentlessness, service, and an unstoppable drive to transform the school experience. Congratulations, Ms. Ortiz. And after we recognize the classified employee of the month and the parent of the month, we'll come down and take some pictures. Next, we would like to recognize our classified employee of the month, Mr. Jose Dominguez, one of our Vista bus drivers. And these are some words that Mr. Sanchez, our transportation coordinator, said about Mr. Dominguez. I want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Dominguez. He has been doing a great job. He's always on time, comes in prepared, and is willing to help whenever we need to have additional students or need to cover any changes. He also looks ahead and helps out whenever we have call-offs or need support. Most importantly, he has been a solid and safe driver for the team. Just wanted to recognize his work and his attitude. Congratulations, Mr. Dominguez. And I believe right after this, Mr. Dominguez is driving the Vista Charter Middle School van back to LA. All right. And lastly, we would like to recognize our parent of the month. And is she? Don't see her. Okay. So would like to recognize Elizabeth Osorio from Vista Meridian. She's actually a Condor Heritage and Meridian parent. She has one student in each of the three schools. So these are some words that Mr. Montoya, Meridian's counselor, shared. Elizabeth is a hardworking single mom who has 3 students attending Vista schools in Santa Ana. Even though Elizabeth has her 3 kids residing outside of Santa Ana, she makes every effort to have them attend school on time daily. Family dynamics, changes in work schedules, health concerns have not prevented her from attending her kids' mental health, wellness, and nutritional needs. Elizabeth is consistent with communicating with school personnel on her kids' participation in school, maintaining academic progress, and utilizing available on-campus resources. When life and parental responsibilities are overwhelming, Elizabeth relies on her support systems to assist with transportation and making sure her 3 kids can attend school. I commend Elizabeth for making her kids the top priority. Congratulations to Elizabeth. So at this time, I'd like to invite the board to come down and we'll take pictures with our employees of the month. Oh, coming up here. All right. As we continue on with the superintendent's report, we have a special board recognition. Everyone who was here before the board meeting got to witness the greatness that is the Vista Charter Middle School Concert Band. And I'm going to wait until they come in because I want them to hear the wonderful things that we're going to share about them. I told them not to leave. Not yet. Okay, so as they are walking in, I would like to congratulate. Come on in, yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. To make a second row, yeah. On all the way in. All right, so they can all hear me. So I'm gonna share what I'd like to congratulate first and foremost Mr. Mario Raven, Vista Charter Middle School's exceptional music teacher, and all of the amazing Vista Charter Middle School musicians for achieving multiple superior ratings and first place awards at the recent Six Flags Music in the Park competition, including winning first place in Best Middle School, first place in Best 1A Concert Band, first place in Best Mixed Choir. I'm not sure if Yuliani is here. She's not here, but Yuliani won Best Vocalist in the competition. And none other but Mr. Raven won Best Teacher or Instructor in the entire competition. And as was shared earlier, the Vista Charter Middle School Band was then invited to apply to attend and perform at the California Music Educators Association State Festival next year. So congratulations, Vista Charter Middle School Band. Wow, what amazing musicians. Okay, we are going to move along with our the superintendent's report, and everything that we do is really focused around expecting excellence with our strategic plan. Our strategic plan has 3 priorities of accelerating learning, moving as one, and paving the path. And I'm going to hold it to the end so that way we'll circle back. Yeah. All right. So first, with the Accelerate Learning priority, we have more student presenters that we are excited to hear from. So last month, Heritage 6th graders went to Big Bear and participated in Science Camp. I think actually the first day that they went up there was the date of our last board meeting. So I have invited Jaden Castillo, Abigail Hernandez, and Fernanda Hernandez to present on their experiences at Science Camp. So, ladies and gentlemen, take it away.
Hi, my name is Jaden Castillo. I am a 6th grader at Vista Heritage Global Academy. This year I got to go to Science Camp in Big Bear. I had never been to Big Bear before, so it was a really exciting experience for me. This wasn't my first overnight field trip because I also got to go to Catalina before on a field trip. Sorry, that's not what I'm here to talk about. Going to science camp in Big Bear was so much fun. I learned a lot of new things. Probably I wouldn't have learned if I didn't go. The trip helped us learn how to communicate and work together by sharing ideas. For example, when we went on hikes, we had to look for insects and different types of tree. My favorite tree that I got to see was the Jeffrey pine. Also, my camp counselor let us try a piece from a white fir tree. It had a really funky taste to it. We also learned about nature and the environment from our camp counselors. They taught us many interesting things about the outdoors. I really had fun. I really had a fun time. I would definitely want to go again someday. We also got to play gaga ball with kids not from our school but other schools, and we got to make friends with them. We cheer for each other. My favorite part was staying in the cabins and hanging out with my friends. I don't think I'll ever forget this trip because it was such a cool experience. All the 6th graders had a great time, and even 7th and 8th graders still talk about it when they went to science camp.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Abby, and I'm a 6th grade student at Vista Heritage Global Academy. I had the opportunity to attend science camp, and let me tell you, I had an awesome time there. Science camp was more than just science, it was about making friends, exploring nature, having fun, and learning new things. At science camp, I did many fun activities that helped me communicate with others by sharing ideas and working together. One example of teamwork was when I helped my friend Fernanda look for a spider or an insect during one of our activities. Even though we didn't find one, it was fun because I still spent time with her. My favorite part about science camp was all the counselors. They made sure we had a memorable experience, and I also loved the songs we sang after we ate. One of my favorite songs was Don't Make Me Snap My Fingers in a Z formation. Hair sensation, hip rotation, shoulder, rest. It was really funny and fun to sing together. We also learned about nature and how important it is to respect it. We explore nature in many ways, like smelling trees, tasting parts of nature, and even hugging trees. Another great part of science camp was meeting students from other schools. It was nice getting to know new people and learning alongside them. We went on hikes together and learned about different kinds of trees and plants. I had so much fun at science camp, and it was an amazing experience. If I had the opportunity to go again, I would immediately say yes.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Fernanda, and I'm a sixth grade student at Vista Heritage Global Academy. I'm very thankful that I was able to go to science camp. This was my first overnight field trip I have ever been on. It was both exciting and a little scary leaving my parents, but I had so much fun going on hikes and spending time with my friends. At camp, we were able to investigate the world by collecting little bugs and learning about their different species. Don't worry, we put them back into their wildlife afterward. Another activity we did at camp was building a shelter for survival. It was challenging because we had to work as a team, communicate with one another, and use resources like sticks, leaves, and branches that we found around us. In Global, we learned that activities like these are examples of communicating communicating ideas, investigating the world, and taking action. Science camp helped us practice all of those skills in a fun and exciting way. All of us worked really well together throughout the trip, especially during team activities and challenges. Science camp helped us build stronger friendships and bonds with one another, and those connections have helped us make us closer and work better together, even at school. I truly had a great time at camp, and my favorite part was my camping instructor. She was kind, caring, and patient with all of us. She made the experience even more special. I really had an amazing time at camp.
Thank you once again, Jaden, Abigail, and Fernanda for sharing those words. And I want to give a special thanks to Miss Ahmad, sixth grade teacher at Heritage. Miss Ahmad has been instrumental in making this possible in terms of getting to Big Bear and organizing science camp and also getting these three amazing students ready to present in front of the board today. So thank you, Miss Ahmad. All right. As we continue to focus on accelerating learning, I would like to welcome two new members of our team. Mr. Hindi couldn't make it today or had to leave, but he is a brand new math instructional coach for our LA schools. And very happy to introduce Mr. Cameron Lopez, our brand new ELD coordinator, who is here today. Today is actually his first day of work at Vista, so we're throwing him right into the fire. Welcome to the team. Lastly, I'd like to give a little look into some preliminary iReady data for the third diagnostic. I want to share the caveat that we still are finishing the third diagnostic testing. Kindergarten through second grade is still finishing this week as the third through eighth graders and 11th graders take the state test. But I want to specifically shout out two of our schools that are really outperforming. Many of our schools are doing amazing things, but I really want to celebrate first Horizon. So Vista Horizon, led by Mr. Benavides. This is a snapshot, and I know it's probably going to be hard to read, but this is a snapshot of his third through fifth graders. These are the testing grades at Horizon. And you can see that the blue line on the left is showing that in reading, the third through fifth graders, the median annual progress is 151%. That means the median student at Horizon in third through fifth grade gained a year and a half worth of learning over the course of this year. In addition, 45% of their third through fifth graders are scoring at or above grade level, which is a huge improvement compared to the last few years. So congratulations to Mr. Benavides and his team. But it doesn't just stop at reading. In math, the annual typical growth median was 113%, and 40% of their students were at or above grade level in math. And so we're really hoping that as they test this week, that this is going to directly correlate to great scores on the CASP. But it definitely underscores the hard work and dedication that the entire Horizon team has been doing all year long. I would also like to, the second school I'd like to shout out is Vista Lago. So Vista Lago in reading, annual typical growth was 111%. They had 48 48% of their students achieving at or above grade level. By comparison, the local school district, if these 48% score meter exceeds on the CASP, last year, Lake Elsinore Unified School District, the local district, students scored 36% on the CASP. And then in math, 36% of the Lago students were scoring at or above grade level. In comparison, last year on the CASP, just under 25% of students at Lake Elsinore Unified were scoring meets or exceeds. So again, I'm sharing this because this is really the main data that we have for Lago in its first year. And just in its first year, we're off to a really great start and looking forward to the end of the year test. But I have a sneaking suspicion that we'll be outperforming the local district by hopefully a wide margin. So again, congratulations to Dr. Carrillo and her team. All right. As we head to the Move as One priority, I want to highlight Vista or Heritage's Better World Conference. Not only is the end of the year testing season, but it's really also the season of learning exhibitions. And so one of the amazing learning exhibitions was the annual Better World Conference. And I want to give a shout out to the Heritage 8th grade team for putting that on. Also, speaking of learning exhibitions, this Wednesday, mark your calendars, Vista Meridian's second annual senior portfolio presentations will be held. So if you can make it, I would highly, highly encourage being there and participating on a panel. And then I want to also highlight the California Healthy Kids Survey data. So this is a survey that all of our schools participate in each year. And I want to give another shout out to Mr. Benavides and the Horizon team. In this data, their data just knocked it out of the park with the California Healthy Kids Survey. So in school connectedness, last year I think it was 57%. This year it shot up to 89%. In the sense of safety, kids feeling safe at school, which is obviously extremely important. I believe it was around the same percentage, around 57%. That shot up to 92%. So again, shout out to Mr. Benavides on an amazing job there. And speaking of surveys, this past Friday, we just finished our end of the year stakeholder surveys and want to share a little data here. So one of the we ask a lot of different questions for our staff, our students, and our parents. One of the main things that we look at is this indicator that we call the Net Promoter Score. The prompt is, how likely are you to recommend your child's school, or if you're a student, your school, to others? And so the parent survey, you can see this is comprehensive of all of our schools, and this percentage of 9s and 10s, it went from, let me see, so it went up to 80, I think it was 81.5% was the percentage of 9s and 10s, and that is up from 80% at the mid-year survey. So we did see an increase there. In students tend to be a little more critical. However, we do see a trend more in the direction of the 8s, 9s, and 10s. However, when you compare it to the mid-year data, we did see a slight drop in the percentage of 9s and 10s that we would consider active promoters. Mid-year, we had 45.1%. End of the year, we had 42.7%. So a small dip there. And then in the staff survey, we actually saw the largest growth from the mid-year to the end of the year. So in the middle of the year, we had 47.1% of our staff rate this a 9 or a 10. That rose almost 6 percentage points to 52.9% at the end of the year. So we're looking at this. We're looking at all of the other questions and the quantitative, the qualitative data from these surveys to really reflect and grow in our practices. All right, and as we start to wrap up, our final strategic priority is paving the path. And so I'm not going to steal too much of his thunder because in just a moment, Arturo is going to come up and share a little bit more about the May revise that was released or shared by the governor late last week. But there is some of the things that were communicated in the May revision budget from the state is that there is a 4.31%. They're calling it a super COLA or super cost of living adjustment. However, there are some strings attached with that number. When we think of 4.31%, when you compare that to what was preliminarily estimated in January, which was in the low 2s, it is a significant increase. In addition to that, there's an increase in the per pupil rate for special education funding going from $999 per student to $1,340, which is a significant increase. There's also a one-time discretionary block grant that will be $900 per ADA. There's also an additional $400 million that is allocated to continue and enhance the community schools funding, which 6 of our 7 schools are a part of, and maybe we'll be able to get that 7th school, Vista Lago, a part of community schools. And then the last thing is Governor Newsom shared that as part of this May revise, there will also be paid pregnancy. There's a mandate for paid pregnancy leave. And so what has been communicated is that super COLA, that 4.31%, the additional percentage should be able to fund that new mandate in there. But again, Arturo will share a little bit more. And this is also hot off the press late last week. So we're continuing to unpack all of this, and this is all pending the legislature approving the budget in June. All right. In terms of enrollment updates, so this is showing the current enrollment if the first day of school for the 26-27 school year were today, and comparing that to almost the exact time last year. So you can see that each school most of the schools are close to where they were last year. Some are a little below, some are a little higher. Vista Lago, as a new school last year, was getting their initial enrollment, and they've pretty much doubled where they were last year. We also have a significant and growing wait list in the elementary school grades at Vista Lago. But wanted to give you a snapshot here as we continue to track the enrollment for next year. And we're also continuing to build our budgets based off of these projections. And lastly, last month, we submitted the P2 attendance reports, and as part of that, we also submitted our attendance recovery data. And so we've been tracking attendance recovery in addition to our attendance and chronic absenteeism data. And so I wanted to share the ADA that has been recovered through our attendance recovery initiatives. A number of schools that I want to shout out, Vista Lago has their attendance rate has increased almost 4% compared to their non-attendance recovery data. And then Palm Lane has the highest amount of recouped ADA. They've essentially added, or they've added 5.39 ADA points in addition to their reported ADA. And there is still more to come. I know some of the schools have additional ADA or attendance recovery ADA, especially Vista Charter Middle School is going to have a fair amount of attendance recovery ADA that will be reported at the end of the year. So it'll still count at the end of the year, even though it wasn't part of the P2 report. And that is my superintendent's report. However, I am going to circle back to one final celebration, and that is our Parent of the Month. And so, again, I've shared a little bit about Miss Osorio earlier. I've known Miss Osorio for a long time, back when I was principal. And Jesus, you were one of my, was it elementary? Condor, yeah, students. And so it's just such an honor to be recognizing you today. And I can tell that not only are you loyal to Vista, having a Condor Heritage and Meridian student and being with us for so long, but as I shared earlier, really always putting your kids at the center and focusing on their well-being and their schooling and their education. So I would like to invite the board back up, and we'll take a few pictures with Ms. Osorio.
We have a lot to honor on superintendent's report, which is great. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Okay, thank you, Dr. Velch. Are there any comments, questions on the superintendent's report? Yes, Sarat.
Yeah, just no, thank you for the comprehensive report. Just on the move as one, like the survey, you were saying that the staff survey and the parent survey results, were showing more positive reflection. Why do you think that happened?
So I think there's a number of factors, specifically related to the staff survey. While not perfect, and I do think that really trying to meet with as many staff members, trying to enhance our communication with staff, and also helping our staff feel valued and heard. I think it is one of the primary factors why that we've seen that growth. And then I think the same with parents, really honoring their voice, honoring their place within the community as Vista parents, and continuing to just celebrate them and bring them on as part of the journey of their kids' education is why. And frankly, especially with parents and staff, a lot of the credit is to our principals and our administrators, because they're the ones that are seeing them every single day, and it's really credit to them.
Okay. All right. Thank you, thank you, Dr. Felch. We'll move on to 3.2, presentation of new board member candidate.
Yes. So unfortunately, our new board member candidate, we'll show the board or the video in just a second. Recently, one of our board members, Tuan, informed me that he's going to be stepping away from the board at the end of this school year. So June will be his last meeting. And as we've been looking at potential board members, Ismail Soto is actually one that approached me. He was interested, and I met him about a year and a half ago. And he has extensive experience in many different places. He's been in the charter sector at a few different charters, working a lot in parent and community engagement, in partnerships and external development. And he's most recently been working in the nonprofit sector. He's currently the Senior Director of Development for First Star in Los Angeles. And before that, he was the Vice President of Programs and Strategic Initiatives, so doing a lot of executive coaching, strategic planning for Education Growth Group. He wasn't able to be here today. He actually is having surgery today, so unfortunate timing. But he did record this video that I'd like to share for the board and the public. All right. So as per our procedures, we're not going to take any action today. I have invited all of the board to reach out to him and ask any questions between now and the June meeting, because we will be back here on June 15th at the next board meeting. Hopefully he will be here in person as well, at which time we plan to take action on the board membership.
Great. Okay. No questions. Okay. That's informational. So now we'll move on to 3.3, the principal reports. And Mr. Prano.
Thank you, sir. Ooh, all right. Lots going on at Meridian since the last time I was up here, which was back in, I think, August. So let's ADA attendance wise, enrollment, we've kind of maintained after our big drop earlier in the year. ADA was taking a big dip. We were fortunate to have some donors who came together and they have donated a iPad for the kids to get a raffle ticket for, which we'll pick that first week of June. For for some reason, this sparked a lot of interest. We were kind of surveyed the kids what they would want, and iPad seems to do the trick. Ever since we've done that, we've noticed that our freshmen have been coming back. Junior started bouncing back up. So we're starting to see that turnaround. I just hope they don't expect this every month because it's a lot to ask for. And then, of course, we've also had a lot of teachers just kind of going out and making kind of goals for the kids as we get towards the end of the year. Our big one, though, has been recruiting and enrollment for next year. Right now, we're currently looking at about 72 freshmen incoming in, adding to our 73 sophomores. For those of you who have been to the DMC, this is going to take us to really filling that space in and getting very cozy, which is fantastic. It's kind of what we want to do. And I believe that Santa Ana College, who we share that building with, they're seeing it. They know it. They see the branding of Meridian all over the place. And you're starting to hear the whispers around the building of, yeah, no, this is Meridian. They're taking over the building. They're taking over the building. So that's been fantastic. We did have an open house night at Meridian to welcome some heritage parents over, especially those who are incoming in who were unsure. That really helped kind of get the word out there of what Meridian is and who we are. The other big thing that is starting to bring students over is we have found a space for a spider lab. For those of you who have had a chance to walk around Heritage, you see a massive computer lab with their 3D printers, and they're making t-shirts in there, and they're doing everything. And we did find a space for that. So we are bringing that in for the 26-27 school year. We are hoping that we'll start bringing in those heritage students who have really grown a passion for the spider lab. We're also organizing an entire summer program around that. So we are inviting heritage students over to spend their summer at Meridian to get familiar with our team, get familiar with the building, and start showing us what they've learned in Spider Lab. That way they can continue that passion on. Outside of that, if you haven't driven by Meridian, we are just branding everything we can outside. Because a lot of the messages that we receive from some local people is we had no idea that was a high school. We had no idea what that building was. So putting that name out there has really helped out. There's a lot that's been going on here. We were lucky to participate in ACE Leadership Workshop, which was hosted here at the CST office. Within this space, students were kind of working on their communication skills, their leadership skills, working a lot on team building. And one of their favorite activities, which I heard from the teachers we sent as well as the students, was every student had to write a question on a card anonymously, and they threw it into a bucket. And every kid picked up and they had to give advice to this anonymous question. And it really helped the kids kind of break out of their shells. They played games outside in the court area. They played games within. They left Meridian bummed because there was a field trip happening at the same exact time. I told kids that Dr. Felch handpicked them specifically for this, and that's why they had to miss their biology field trip. But overall, they came back in a great mood, really enjoying this experience. The other thing that has happened is the wellness room. This was brought up some time ago. We were very fortunate for Rady's Chalk Hospital to select Meridian to build out a wellness space for us. They took one of the back spots, which is right across from our psychologist and where Turning Point is at, which is one of our counselors. And they have built the most amazing space in the matter of one day just by coming in. The very first day that it was done, we have one of our students who requires a lot of attention, and he came into that space and asked for 5 minutes. So we set a timer, 5 minutes, he was in that room. All of a sudden, timer goes off and he just went to class. So it's amazing what this space has been able to do for them. This space has actually inspired us to take another space at Meridian and turn it into a council room. So I met with Chalk today. There was some leftover furniture from when they did the wellness space that they're looking into to help us start creating a council room right next to it for restorative circles, as well as for some of our smaller classrooms to have a space to book it and do counsel with their students. That's actually our wellness room on here. And the reason I put on here is because Chalk is in the middle of scheduling part 3 of their PD for the staff. Each part has been working with students who are experiencing trauma or understanding the difference between a behavioral issue and ADHD. Their part 3 of their PD is to come in and start talking to teachers about how the wellness space is used. How do we book time in the wellness space? How do we monitor it? And they've also sent a couple iPads over with different apps for kind of calming applications for them, as well as for students to go through in the software that they've put together for us on how to reserve the space. I also had the opportunity earlier this week, last week, to head over to Lakeco for a training with Mrs. Amaya and Ms. Simmons and Jaquel as well, focusing on the trauma of being a newcomer in our classrooms. It was an amazing PD. Really kind of changing that lens of understanding the trauma that comes with being new to this culture, being new to this language, being new to this style of learning. And I'm really looking forward to part 2 that's coming right up, I believe at the end of this week. For family and community partnership, as has been mentioned in the past, we've been very fortunate to build a partnership with the Mexican consulate here in Santa Ana. And we're very excited to have Ms. Baltazar, who's the diplomat of Mexico representing the consulate, be the graduation speaker this year for our senior class. So we're very excited that they have agreed to come in, and it just really has opened the door to pretty much every partner, community partner that they have at their disposal. So we're working with them on helping us fill the food pantry, our closets, supplies for students, and we're very excited about where that's going to go. We also had a late start to our Mother's Day. We didn't have a coffee with the principal on that day, but we did make up for it. Last year we started with Loteria with the mothers and inviting their students from all the campuses. So we brought it back again this year. And this year it came back even bigger because some of our family members, they went out to the community and they brought donations in. And we had massage guns and Bluetooth speakers, and we gave away some of the yearbooks that just came out. So we had a lot of, I think we had about 23 different parents show up, which for Meridian in our small space, it's the most parents that we've had shown up for any of our Coffee with the Principal events. So Loteria is definitely a thing that's taking place. And then we also took advantage of taking them to the prom closet, our pantry, our business closet that we've just started, as well as the wellness room. And they saw a side of Meridian that they had yet to have seen before. So a lot of the comments were, we did not know that the building was this big. So it was great to have things on the other side to show them. And then for events, we had College Commit Day that happened on May 1st. It was exciting to celebrate it. Last year we did a little pep rally, and we figured that wasn't enough for our seniors, so we went with a bigger event. Very fortunate with the amount of community partners in Santa Ana. Chick-fil-A donated lunch for every single student who was there. Every college that we reached out to, they had sent some type of swag over for the students. So we had hats or t-shirts or bags. And then our team, because they wanted to make sure everyone got something, they were making shirts off their crickets, just so that way students who, if they picked a trade school and didn't get a shirt, we had one for them. If they decided they were going to go join the workforce, we had something for them. So definitely a great start for Meridian, and something that we want to build upon for next year. And then, as Dr. Felch had mentioned, May 20th is coming up. That's our big Senior Portfolios Day. It's one of their last hurdles to walking across the stage. I'm still recovering from grad night, which was last Friday. I realize I can't do those all-nighters anymore. But then the other part that's coming up, which we're excited about, is our Senior Awards Night, where we get to pick our valedictorians. We get to honor those students who finish their CTE pathways. We have our Senior Farewell Tour that's coming up on the last day of school. And our Senior Farewell Tour is when our seniors get to return back to Condor Heritage. They will do a tour around the hallways. And then we end here at the CST for breakfast. And then that's their last day as a Vista student. So very excited about everything that's here to come. And then I believe for staff spotlight, a lot of the staff and I were talking, we wanted to really highlight Miss Young. She is currently our assistant principal. She is our part-time counselor. She is our AP English teacher. She is our lunch supervision at SAC. She wears a lot of hats, but she has gone through it all. Her favorite game is to make sure that our students are not playing Frogger going across Bristol to get over to Canes or McDonald's across the street. But there's many hats that she wears. Her dedication is amazing. She's just, you can tell the students know who she is. She knows who the students are, and she definitely knows who the parents are. So we wanted to take a moment to recognize all her hard work with lesson planning. And this morning she was at SAC bright and early as we were prepping to test our 11th graders for the SBA testing. So wanted to make sure we take a moment to say thank you to her before the year comes to an end. That's Meridian.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, I just want to commend the efforts we have been talking about in terms of the connection between Heritage and Meridian, and the fact that you did that, like you brought them into the families, and now it sounds like moving into a new space, right? You're going to be able to brand that and make people feel welcome. And I know sharing space, I used to co-locate as well, can be difficult, but it's exciting to hear that you're doing such amazing events for the community and they're starting to hear your story. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And still, thank you again for the visit. I know we did it last time, but just being on your campus and seeing the energy and the commitment to the students and the ability to work on instruction, but also work on all the other things that people are going through in their lives. It's great to see that community spirit and the community environment you're building there. So thank you. Okay. Yes, Sarat.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what everyone said. It's really nice to hear from you. First time for me to hear from you about the school. And yeah, I really appreciate all the activities that are happening, the wellness room, the professional, the professional development meetings that you described. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And also the efforts that you're taking so that people know about the high school that's it's in the neighborhood, right? So it's great. So well done. Thank you for the presentation.
Okay, just one note, I think the links in Diligent for the principal reports are not, they're pointing to one school, not all of them, so we may want to clean that up for the public. I can access them, but public, for the public links. Okay, Arturo, 3.4 icon.
Good evening,
Yeah,
everyone.
Financial
Okay.
report.
All right. Appreciate the support. All right. Today, we're going to cover two things. First will be the March 2026 financials, and then we're going to talk about the preliminary draft budgets for the 26-27 school year. I'm going to go pretty quick through the March 2026 financials. We kind of get to the fun stuff afterwards. Starting off with the middle school. So as always, their balance sheet's pretty healthy, cash over $5 million, so significant days cash on hand. Their ADA for the 8th statistical month was 335, which continues to go up from the prior month. And I wanted to highlight each of the schools beat their P2 ADA estimate that we used. So each school will be getting more, a little more revenue at the end of the year. So for the middle school, it was 333.54. Which is almost 3.5 points, or it is 3.5 points above, 4.5 points above what we had them at the second interim. In revenue for March, they received just under $1 million, which is about 74% of their projected total revenues. The big jump you see down there below for year-to-date by month is that their EPA generally comes in March, April. We are conservative for cash flow purposes and expected in April, showed up in March for the middle school. On the expenditure side, they had just over $726,000 in expenses, and it's about 76% of projected expenses. So a little bit above, but overall still on track. Vista Heritage, so their enrollment stayed pretty steady. Their attendance rate still above 93%. Their ADA did drop a little bit, so 325.8, which is a quarter point lower than the prior month. This is the school that was the closest to its P2 or its second interim ADA projection, so just about 0.7 points. And it really was driven by your attendance recovery. So on that chart that Dr. Felch shared, that's really what kind of kept them above it. Aside from that, kind of right on track. But the key there is that P2 ended in mid-April. And you see the eighth fiscal month was 325 because lower enrollment. So the annual at the end of the year, it's going to be a little bit lower, but that attendance recovery is what helped. And luckily, we're set at P2 and not at the annual. Revenue for Heritage for March, they received just over 634,000, and year to date they're about 72%. In terms of revenue, they got their next title apportionments were received in March. Expenditures just over $637,000, and about 73% of projected expenses. So in a nice good spot and on track. Vista Condor. So your strongest school currently for this year in terms of ADA percentage and their ADA. So at 353, they were 2 points higher than last month. And I feel like each month I come in, I keep talking about their ADA continuing to grow. And at P2, they were at 351. So almost 5.5 points above what we projected for the second interim. And as they continue to work on attendance recovery, that's only going to get stronger. So very strong and healthy position for Vista Condor. Their revenue in March was just under 785,000, which is about 72%. And their expenses were just over 160,000, and overall they're at 71%. So they're actually trending a little bit below what we expected them to be spending at this point in the year. Vista Horizon, so 172 enrollment, pretty steady. Their 88 percentage continues to come up a little bit as you see that trend line from January through March. I'm trying to get back up to that 93.25%, but very strong in terms of that eighth month. They were up 5.7, 88 points versus the prior month, which is that jump from 89.7 to 92.8. Their P2 was just above their second interim, so 157.8 versus 155.6, and that's also attributable to their attendance recovery up through that time frame. Revenue just over $365,000, and about 76% of their projected total revenue of the year. They also received their title apportionments. And on the expenditure side, just over 250,000, and they're at 67%. So they're very healthy in terms of where their current expenditures are. Palm Lane, so for the eighth month, they were down 1 point from the prior month with 239.14. But their strong attendance recovery, that's 588 points, really drove that P2 and put them at 252.56. So very good growth over our second interim projection. And as usual, it's your healthiest kind of cash on hand out of all the schools with $7 million in cash and 440 days cash on hand. Our revenue in March was just over $783,000. And so same thing for them was their, they got the title apportionments, but they also received another ACES apportionment. There's a little bit off track. So that's the big jump versus the prior month. On the expenditure side, about $366,000 and about 69% projected expenses. Most of that is in your books and supplies, so some space there. Vista Meridian, so their 88 percentage dropped a little bit in the eighth month, down 2.9 points to 211, but their P2 was just over about 1.5 points from what we expected at second interim at 223.39. Revenue, and their cash on hand grew from the prior month as they received some big payments and they got over that 30-day threshold and are at 43 days cash on hand. In March, they received just over $633,000, which is about 70% of their projected revenues. The big portion is they got their SB 740, not SN, so that's their facility payment, which is what drove that above what we were expecting. And then the next round of title apportionments was also received. Expenditures are just under $400,000 and about 74% of projected expenses. Generally, it's kind of what we had there for standard benefits. That's saving the boat a little bit. That 86% has been high all year, as you know, because of the big Animatouch purchase they did earlier in the year. For Vista Lago, so their 88 percentage went up 3 points higher than we had the prior month at 103. And their P2 ADA was 96.6, which is almost 5 points higher than what we expected, which is great. So that's going to help minimize or the overall deficit they're going to end the year with. Revenue, about $150,000 in March. So now you can start to see the nice steady payments of LCFF coming in. It's about 66% of their projected total revenue for the year. They also finally got their title funding. So they did get an apportionment. We'll see that most likely in June, July, but that's about another $15,000 to $20,000 in total across the two different items. In March, they had just over $192,000 in expenditures. They're 85%. They are high, but their trend line for like books and supplies has continued to kind of come down and still a bit more conservative than it was earlier on in the year. And then the home office here, so similar to what they've been before. Their books and supplies have been above all year. Everything else is tracking just a little bit above, but we are looking to continue to. The additional ADA for the schools is going to help out the home office as well, as that additional LCFF will come back a little bit in terms of revenue for the home office. Questions before I jump into budget drafts? Okay. All right. So Dr. Felch did steal most of my thunder, but I did want to talk about the May revision. So the numbers you're going to see forthcoming are revenue numbers we worked on prior to the May revision. So some of these additional revenue streams aren't included. And to be fair, in June, since your board meeting is pretty close to when the state confirms what they're going to do, if they're not confirmed yet, they're not going to be included in your budget, just to be conservative and not expect that you're going to get funds that the legislature may decide you're not going to get, or it's going to be a different amount. Okay, so I want to kind of throw that out there. First,
Can I ask a question about that?
Yep.
So when you say that, you mean none of them may revise? You'll just assume January budget numbers? Is that what you're?
Close. So there is a small adjustment. It's a nice trend to what I'm going to talk about next.
Great.
So on that COLA, in January, we had 2.41. The statutory COLA actually went up itself to 2.87. So you will see that increase on it, but that 4.31, I'll share what the number will look like with that included. But if the legislature hasn't agreed on that additional discretionary investment, I wouldn't want you to expect it.
Yes, I agree.
So
Thank you.
that's kind of what the plan is. So that statutory is 2.87. The governor added an additional 906.7 million in discretionary investment, which what brings it up to that 4.31%. So, again, he's kind of putting his stake in the ground and will be negotiating with the legislature. Hopefully it gets to that or close to it, but there is a little caveat to that, which, we'll talk in a little bit. Special education. So in the January budget, he was trying to get everybody equal, because right now different SELPAs get different rates, and they're generally around $900. It was originally trying to get them to about $999 aligned, and now he invested more to get them up to $1,340. So that would be a nice big bump. It would definitely help out the middle schools, primarily in Heritage, as they have high sped costs. And so, for you guys currently through the schools that are with El Dorado, we're projecting $943. So if you are able to get to that $1,340, that's an extra $400 per pupil. So it is very significant. For the LA schools, currently present about $920. So get into that $1,340 is even more. So crossing our fingers that we will be able to, obtain that. And then the student support and professional development discretionary block grant. So in January, he was putting 2.8 bill. He's trying to increase it to 5. Probably going to end up somewhere in the middle. But it is discretionary, which is really helpful. So, and if he does it similar to how he did it, or how the state did it for the current year, is that it also be usable for a couple years. So you don't need to utilize it all at once. The little caveat I talked about in terms of that super COLA is that he is putting into the budget about LEAs providing 14 weeks of paid pregnancy disability leave for all employees, but that would be absorbed by that discretionary increase. So it's kind of his way to offset that, which, when it's discretionary for a year, it helps offset it. But then moving forward, we're going to have to make sure we absorb that in the budget. It's also still up to discussion with the legislature. So, does it stay at 14 weeks? Does that adjust? We don't know. But kind of keep that in mind as I go through and I will tell you as I go through the preliminary budgets, what that additional funding would be if we were to get to 4.31% from LCFF.
When you say all employees,
that's what he's currently put it out there. So that's one portion. It's like, what does that define, right? Is it all salaried employees? Is it all full-time employees? Or is it all employees? Yeah. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what that looks like to be able to conceptualize what that cost would be and whether does that COLA offset that. All right, first school, and we're going to start.
Before you go to schools, can we
Yep.
keep talking just a little bit? So the 4.31, if it were ultimately approved, which it isn't right now, it's just a proposal. Do all of our programs get the 4.31? There are some that don't,
Correct.
right?
Everybody gets it.
Well, but there are some funding programs that are
So the 4.31 is for LCFF.
right.
So your LCFF rate would go up by that 4.31%. The statutory COLA would generally be applied for most of like SPED would get that 2.87. They're not going to get to that 4.31, but there's actually going to be higher if he's able to get that additional per pupil rate of 1340.
Okay. Because the actual amount that our budget, like our overall budget goes up wouldn't be the 4.31.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. I just want to,
Just LCFF would go up that amount.
right. Okay. I just want to, I guess, it's important that we coach people through what the increases mean because they
Yeah.
sound better sometimes than the actual implications for our budgets. And so I just get a little nervous about, and this, of course,
Everybody hears one number. And it's,
right.
Yeah.
And that's great. And it's, I'm super excited that they were offering an additional COLA. I'm not sure how they got there, but I'll take it. And then the special ed piece, that again, there's a huge improvement for us if that is ultimately approved.
Correct.
But
But it's
we're still,
specific to SPED costs and expenditures.
right, but, and we're still overexpending on special ed services.
Yep.
Because last I checked, we were getting about, what, 50% or something. And like, there's the amount of money that we're getting is
Correct. It always
much
you always
less than the
utilize
actual
your unrestricted
services
funds.
that are being provided.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, thanks. That's helpful.
Glad you pointed that out. All right, first school, and we're going to start off with the two toughest schools, is this charter middle school. So this is based off of projected enrollment of 340. So it's less than what the enrollment is this year. And so you see that ADA drop. So the current ADA we're utilizing for the 26% draft is 310.20, which is 19 points lower than what it was at the second interim this year. That in itself, as you can see, is lower revenue across the board. So, $231,000 less in revenue. We did make some adjustments already to staffing. So reduction in TAs, PE teacher adjustment that kind of went through a vendor instead. So you do see some savings there. The only increase you see in the 5,000 series is the fact that we moved the PE teacher from salary to a vendor. So it comes from a different area. So overall, expenditures are 224 less than this year at second interim, but with the lower ADA, you're still currently projected to be in the negative $211,000. With the LCFF, you do get the 4.31. That's an additional $87,000 for the middle school. So it does cut into that net income a little bit, but still would be in the red currently as this projection at 340 enrollment and 310 ADA.
So what's the 340 enrollment?
That's the enrollment that we're utilizing for budgeting.
That's
Okay.
a conservative estimate just based on what we're projecting for next year.
And what's the 310.20? That's the ADA.
That's the
derived-
ADA
that
derived
you would
from the
expect from the 340 enrollment.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
And so when we say, this is super helpful, right, to talk it through, but right now we're projected to be in the negative.
Correct.
Got it. Are we gonna adjust
We're still
that to not be in the negative?
Yes.
There is still work to be done between now and next month.
Okay.
This is where we are right now. And as Arturo mentioned, a lot of it is being driven by a conservative
Yeah.
enrollment
I
and
appreciate
ADA estimate. Exactly.
We're in a different
And so
spot on
now we need to work from here to get to a place where we feel comfortable going into next year based on that.
it. Got it. Thank you.
And we're still reconciling some of those restricted funds and carryover funds. So although the top number is negative, we're still going to try to focus to get that unrestricted fund balance growing at the end of the year.
Got it.
But since that's still fluctuating, I don't have that number for you yet. The next school is Vista Heritage.
Wait, sorry, can we
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm looking at the enrollment report from the superintendent's report. And it's saying Vista Charter Middle School is 294 if we started today. So how do you get from 294 to 340? Is that this?
Yeah, it's going to be driven, and every single year, Vista Charter Middle School continues to get especially more sixth graders, a few more seventh graders. But right now, based on where we're currently at, I think we have 50 some odd sixth graders enrolled for next year, and we're projecting about 100 as we continue to enroll towards August. And so based on getting there, we would that's where we get the additional 40 to 50 more students towards 340
Okay, so the 294 is the enrollment currently.
as
at
of
the
today.
School
Yeah.
site.
Yeah.
The 50 is what you have as
We-
far as people coming in, but the 294 also contemplates people leaving. There's, like, people are gonna articulate out, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it includes that. Vista Charter Middle School has a very large eighth grade class. And so as they matriculate out, that's why we're expecting a slight decrease in enrollment for next year because of the large eighth grade that they have this year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does that
I'm
make
also,
sense?
No, I'm also having a hard time, I think, because I felt like I understood it when you explained the enrollment numbers, and I appreciate you going back to that, Miles. Like when you say 294, when it says enrollment for 26-27 through 5-18-26, does that include your
That-
current all the way up to seventh grade, and then you're also your students that are going to be coming
That
in?
includes the number of intent to returns that we have received of current sixth graders and seventh graders because they'll be returning next year. And in addition to the new enrollments that we've received, whether it's new sixth graders or new students that are going to be attending
And can,
seventh or eighth
just
grade.
knowing in schools, right? Like when you get students that say, I want to come to your school, that's always a little bit less than kids that actually come to your school.
Correct.
So have we taken that into account?
Yeah. So we do tell all of our principals to prepare to over enroll and overestimate those new enrollment projections. We see that every single year. That we see anywhere from 20 to 25% of the new enrollments end up not showing up. So we do need to prepare for that.
If I could just have a request, because I was the one that I think asked for this, and I appreciate the comparative numbers. It would just be good to have that separated out for my brain in terms of like, here are current students, but here are the students who are intending to enroll, so we can look at those numbers separately. And it would be great to see what that percentage is. I'm glad it makes sense to me what you're saying in terms of we're projecting over. It's just hard when we know that we're in the negative, saying we're projecting conservatively, but also seeing the numbers lower than that conservative estimate that we're going for.
Yeah.
Am I on the same page as you?
Yes, I'm still, I guess I'm still struggling. So the 294 is the sixth graders and seventh graders, not the eighth graders. And the 294 are the sixth graders, so all the sixth and seventh graders you currently have on site, plus intent to enroll.
It's not all of the current sixth and seventh graders.
Oh,
It's
just the
all
ones
of
that
the sixth
intend.
and seventh graders that completed an intent to return.
Got it. Okay.
So some of them did not.
Some of them just didn't respond, maybe.
Either
and
didn't
then may
respond
become-
or said that they don't intend to return.
Okay.
So we only included the yes, we intend to return, as well as the new enrollment.
And it doesn't include any fifth graders that are.
It includes fifth graders at Horizon and other elementary schools
Who have told us
that
that
have
they-
enrolled in Vista Charter Middle School.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was the data piece I'm looking for separate.
Right.
Correct.
Got it.
And
Okay.
and I have that, so I can easily get
That's
those.
great. But that mean, go ahead.
Sorry, just looking at the numbers of 20, the column on the left, 25, 26 second interim, that's 329, right?
In terms
And,
of ADA, yes.
and then, enrollment for 25, 26 for, the superintendent's report, that's, 319. So it's 29, and is it like a typo or is it like a?
So
319?
that was enrollment, I believe, at this point last year for 25, 26.
That's
school.
correct. Yeah.
It's
So
a different number.
So that I pulled from the superintendent's report a year ago for this current school year. So back at the May 2025 board meeting, as we were tracking the same numbers to compare apples to apples, That's where I pulled that data from.
And the 329 now we are showing as of now, looking back to 25, 26.
I'm not
The 329
3
is the ADA number we utilized for the current school year for P2.
Okay.
They beat it by a couple points, but that's what we were utilizing. So I wanted to show how next year it's a lower ADA because we are expecting lower enrollment versus the current year.
Yeah, no, this is great. I'm sorry that, Dan, I'm sorry you went first. So we ask all the questions as if we have the same questions for everybody else, I think, but we're using it as the example. Okay, so, but that means that we're looking to get 50 additional intent to enroll forms at least over the next.
At least, yeah.
Oh,
No.
Yeah, at minimum, we'd have to get 50 to show up to get to
Correct.
340.
Yeah. So we really are looking at 340 as not just a goal, but a baseline goal.
Okay.
Because I mean, you saw the budget based on if 340 show up. So.
And so do we have a sense of what typically we've done from here to?
I can share that too. I have tracked the last year and a half of month by month attendance or enrollment. So for each school, so you can see like last year how it tracked over the spring and summer months.
Right. That'd be super helpful, I think, to see. Just because I'm not sure how, if 50, what the history has been. Because then I would have a better sense of what 340 was, in my mind at least, was possible. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Good questions. All right, looking at Vista Heritage. So this school, we're also projecting a drop in enrollment. It's looking at enrollment of 340 next year, which is an ADA of 319.6, which is just under 13 ADA points less than current year. Total revenues are down about $379,000 during that time frame. On the expenditure side, we did make some adjustments to some teaching positions that have been open, so won't be refilled for next year. Some reductions on the 5000 series. So property tax from this year, they were able to get that corrected. So that's out for next year. A couple of reductions in PD, as most of it's in-house now, some subs, etc. So we were able to cut about 192,000 in total in expenditures, but it still currently puts Heritage in a negative net income of about 227,000. Similar, if you do get that 4.31, it's an additional $90,000 in LCFF alone. So brings that down a little bit, but still about 137,000. The other part for the LC schools, so when I do my LCFF projections, I use a 3-year average for their home district's unduplicated percentage because that's your ceiling for what you can get. For the last 3 years, Santa Ana Unified's unduplicated percentage has steadily kind of trickled up. But when I use the 3-year average, it averages it down by the 3 years ago. So there is a little bit of room there if they were to repeat their unduplicated percentage for the current year. So there's a little bit more funding there.
Yeah, I think the important thing is the comparison here that we're looking at, right? Like for that one, it says that we're at 346 projected and we're preliminary drafting it for, at 319, right? For the ADA.
For ADA, yeah.
For ADA.
Enrollment's
So
340.
enrollment 340, right? Yeah, so it just seems like, so, and I know that you said you'll share it, just want to make sure. And I guess just stepping back as a board member, this is preliminary budgets. We're going to approve these budgets at the next board meeting or the one after?
Correct. June. Yep.
In June.
Before
So it'd
June
be really
30th.
helpful
Yep.
to see
Mhm.
as much data as we can just on enrollment, ADA, just to make sure that we're not.
Correct.
missing
And what I can tell you is these conservative budget estimates were created before we received the most recent enrollment updates. So knowing that like right now, if the 26-27 school year started today, Heritage has 346 I think that was the number that I shared. So even in May, Heritage is already over the conservative projection for the enrollment, and you would only hope that it's going to go further up.
Good. I'm hopeful. I'm actually grateful that we're having this conversation right now as a preliminary to, just in the timing to be able to approve. So thank you.
Great.
Next one is Condor. So even at Condor, we're also projecting a slight decrease in enrollment, so 370, which is a small drop in their ADA compared to this year's second interim, so just about 1.5 points. LCFF does go up, even though it went down 1.5, primarily driven by the 2.41% COLA at this point. Other state revenues are slightly up. The big difference you see in other state revenues is that this year you receive the literacy grant, which was $500,000. So that kind of cuts that out, as well as SSPD. So, overall revenues are down $500,000. Most of that is driven by the fact that by that literacy grant there. Again, this year, your ADA at P2 ended up at 351. So, about 6 points higher than we're currently projecting for next year. On the expenditure side, you do see some increases. Most of those are driven by the fact that people are moving up on the salary schedule. The other piece for Condor is that you have a couple of teachers relocating to Condor from other sites that are higher on the salary schedule compared to who they currently have. So that's why you see 187,000 increase there. In the 4,000 series, we did reduce capitalized equipment, some computers, etc. So there's some savings there. And then the 5,000, the big portion of that is a property tax from this year that we won't be paying next year. So that's out. And again, reduction in PD. Most of that's going to be in-house now, and some subs. So overall expenditures went up about 30. Net income is pretty close, so about $60,000. If, as Condor has your biggest ADA, if you were to get the full 4.31%, it's an additional $105,000 for Condor.
Net income.
In LCFF revenue.
Got it.
So, next is Palm Lane. So there we are projecting 275 enrollment, which is a little bit of a bump from current year. So ADA of 255.75. That leads to the increase on the revenue sides there. Again, other state revenues is negative, primarily driven here by the fact that you received the student support and professional development grant this year. If you get that again next year, that'll go up. Local revenues, we kind of narrowed back down. We take out anything that was extra to where we start off the year, so that's why you see a small drop there. On the expenditure side, similar staffing, but the highest salary teacher is departing. So that actually gets you some savings when we kind of project back to like a middle of the salary table teacher to kind of replace. And then on the 2000 series, looking at transitioning custodial support to a vendor, which provides some savings there. Those changes in salaries give you a little bit of savings in employee benefits. The 4000 series, again, similar thing, kind of reduction in capitalized equipment. In the 5000 series, you see a smaller decrease there, reduction in PD, but some of that was offset by the increase in a custodial vendor. So overall expenditures are down about $169,000. Current net income for Palm Lane is expected to be in the black, about $142,000. And similar, if you get the additional COLA, we're looking at about an extra $75,000 for Palm Lane in LCFF revenue. Vista Horizon. So we are projecting growth there with 190 enrollment. So that's 177 ADA, which is about 22 points higher. That gets you the additional LCFF, which is pretty significant, about $140,000. The big drop in other state revenue is similar to Condor. They received the literacy grant this year. So that's what drives that number into the negative for next year in terms of our revenue there. So overall revenue goes about 59,000. On the expenditure side, overall, you got additional expenses. Most of these are growth in on the salary schedule. And then the 5000 series, the 127,000 is the increase in their Prop 39 as their square foot rate for next year is a pretty significant increase from the current year. So overall expenditures went up 212. Net income still projected to be about 169,000 for next year. And if they get the 4.31, it's an additional about $53,000 in LCFF for Horizon. Vista Meridian, so projected enrollment of 260, which is about an increase of about 16 ADA points. So you see that growth in LCFF by 368,000. The negative number there for their state revenues is that they received student support and PD grant this year that we're currently not including the budget for next year. But overall revenues are up just under $380,000. You see increases there in terms for staffing to get to that 260 student. We do have a reduction in capitalized equipment, primarily that armor touch table, although depending on the purchase time cycle for their spider lab, that may adjust there, but it will be covered by grant funds. and then reductions in subs and some other consultants for Vista Meridian. They had a lot of subs this year as they kind of transitioned a bit, so that's why you see that big number there. In total expenditures, it's 6.1, and I just noticed I cut off the bottom, so they currently are projected in the negative about $17,000. If they get that 4.31, it's an additional 81,000 for Vista Meridian. And similar to Heritage and Condor, the UPP average is a little bit, it's lower than what the UPP for Santana Unifed's been this year and the prior year. So you get to see that there'll be additional funds as well.
Can you go back to Verizon really quick? I heard you say the Prop 39. Is that the one? How much was the Prop 39 increase to? Was it? You said that's the
biggest piece of that 127,000.
Right, the services and not operating expenses.
I don't know it off the top of my head.
It's okay, yeah, but it's not the whole 127,000 expense.
Correct. No,
Yeah.
the other parts are just additional. We have, I believe, we project like a 7-8% increase in other areas just for the growth in enrollment.
Okay. Sorry about that. You have a question, Mike?
No, what would be really helpful, I think, I don't have necessarily any questions here. That did raise my hand because of the net income, but then you identified it. I think I would definitely feel a lot more comfortable approving a budget if you put like in your superintendent report, you always put like ADA graphs, and then in your lines, it kind of there. It'd be great to know what is our, like the average daily attendance that the school got for this year. What did they get last year, right? So we have that trend in terms of, you guys are doing a lot of this stuff, but we want to just make sure that we're not in the same spot as last year where we're like, we want to be in your minds a little bit. Like when you're into these, you're like, this is why we're basing these numbers off of it. And like, I couldn't find specifically like what is their ADA, even though I can like kind of track the graphs and do the math. But for example, like with Vista Lago, it's awesome. They have a wait list, right? But I'm also seeing that we're projecting 93% ADA, and it looks like at the beginning of the year, they're like 96.7, but then it dropped. I just like to know what their average is this year. So if we're projecting their ADA to increase or decrease, and what I think it'd be just good for everybody to know. So ADAs for this year would be really helpful, and should have that from last year too, to see if there's like a trend. So ADAs for our schools that we have, and then the enrollment numbers, like I said, for projected students based on last year this time.
And by ADA, you want the pure number of average daily attendance, or do you also want the percentage, meaning the attendance percentage?
That's just the percent.
The percent.
Like what did we get this year?
We
right?
definitely
what
have
we projected this year, because you're basing this budget off of a percent ADA. It would just be good to know what they had last year and the year before.
Okay.
And for our schools that have been open, it'd be good to see what the trend is.
Mm-hmm. You're looking for actual stump budget?
Well, I mean, if we're going to be approving the budget next time, based upon projected ADA, projected enrollment, I'd like to know what did we get for our ADA this year as a percentage? What did we get ADA last year for a percentage?
The
from our
actuals.
schools? The actuals.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like I can try to piece it together in these graphs, but it would just be a lot easier, I think, just to see. And then if we could separate out those enrollment numbers.
Yeah, because we're flipping back and forth into reports looking for different. Okay. So we're on to
Lago.
Thank you.
So Vista Lago, so their projection is 190 enrollment, which is 176.7. Obviously, it's a big increase from what we had this current year. So almost 85 additional points. So overall revenues are up about 1.8 million. They get a couple of extra bumps. So, they get title funding, as I mentioned earlier, but they also qualify now for ELOP funding, which is great in their second year. So projecting that to be just about a bit over $200,000 in that alone. So that's the big increase there in other state revenues. Serenity, though, on the expenditure side, we see a lot more of expenses, about 939,000 in total. Most of that's driven there by salaries, certificated and non-certificated salaries, increase in books and supplies, and obviously also an increase in the 5,000 series. Currently projecting about 156,000 net income. If they get that additional 4.31, it's about an extra $46,000 for them. We are still looking at this budget to see where we can, make some tweaks, because the key is going to be to dig out of the deficit from this year. So the goal is to get that net income as high as possible as we move forward.
on what's the capacity on Lago?
Right now, 200, just based on the facility.
Okay. Because we're looking, like, your superintendent's report has you're six students away.
Yeah.
For over spring and summer. So you could be
Correct. We're 6 students away. However, we have a wait list of, yeah, in the elementary grades. So there's huge demand in the elementary grades. We're also trying to get the middle school and the high school grades up there so we can,
Got it.
yeah, have full classes in TK through 10.
Okay. Okay. I like 200 as
Well, 190 was the conservative estimate.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
fully expecting to be at 200,
Okay.
and so that will be 10 additional
yeah.
students
Yeah.
compared to what's in the budget.
We are, because it says 190, right?
Well, it says 190 because that was the conservative
Conservative.
estimate. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So going above that will be additional revenue that is
Yeah.
beyond the budget.
Not
Yeah.
on this budget.
Mhm.
Yes. not
I will
from
just
this budget.
say, I do want to shout out that the fact that
Yeah.
you have got a wait list, right, in your second year, right, and the fact that we're making these numbers about projection and being conservative with a wait list speaks to what your leadership is doing in that community. And so, huge shout out and recognition to the work that you're doing.
And that we're at 91, 94 when you started the year and had to get to 100, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you had 3 months that you were pushing to get to 100, I think. So 91,
That's huge.
that's a great place to end. So thank you.
And then per usual, outstanding checks, 50 days plus, although good portion of these are end of March, so they just may not have been reflected in the April. Checks, bank statements, most likely got cashed early May. And then your April check register.
Okay. So what, any other questions or any questions from your part? Okay. Anything, Michael?
No, I appreciate, look, again, and I've shared this with you before, right? The learning growth is to better understand our budgets. And so some of these questions are just personal, of like, what are we doing? But there's also, in terms of our like responsibility to approve these budgets, really appreciate the words conservative, but making sure that what would help me, and I think help make the board decision better, is looking at historical data and knowing, kind of parsing that out, if that's the right word, separating it out so we know what those enrollment numbers look like. And then also just again, long term, when we are pushing to have our lotteries, we want to be able to be pushing enrollment. What capacity and shifts are we providing for our schools so we're not rushing with everybody in the summer and the spring to try to get enrollment? I think that's long term to look at, because this, what you guys are doing, how could you not? I'm seeing the story that's being told at our school communities. Look at the net promoter scores, look at the students and the staff surveys, parent surveys. What can we do ahead of time and maybe shift some of our strategic priorities so we get these enrollment numbers up earlier, so we're not projecting. Thanks.
Yeah, and I would also say, you know, I understand just the accolades are that we're in a declining enrollment environment in all K-12.
Yeah.
So for us to be looking at growth and pushing to make sure that that's occurring is great. It shows that there's a demand for our services at our schools and that our programs are strong. So
yeah, and also huge recognition for the ADA. I mean, not the ADA, but the absence recovery initiative.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible. And so you put that together this year, way to do that, because that definitely helps support a lot of our schools and get the funding we need for staff.
Yeah, and that's resulted, if you combine the 7 schools, at least what was through P2, it brings back about 250K to our schools, and that's probably going to grow by the end of the year when we submit the end of the year attendance recovery. So,
and as
great.
I'm talking to other schools, they're not doing attendance recovery. So yeah, again, kudos. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arturo. Now we're moving to action items. 4.1, the VCPS Parent Student Handbook. So I'll ask for a presentation from staff.
Yes. So compared to last year we pretty much overhauled many of the items in the parent student handbook. This year I worked with legal to make the necessary updates, mainly legal updates to the parent student handbook. Some of those items included additional language to the professional boundaries policy, the uniform complaint procedures, the CalKids program notice, the non-discrimination statement, and the notice of policy regarding immigration and enforcement activity. Those are the main items that have been updated.
Okay, I'll look for a motion.
Motion.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion and a second. Is there any questions, discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes 3-0. Moving on to 4.2, Dr. Felch.
All right. So I am recommending that the board elects Ms. Susanna Betancourt as the board secretary. Previous, the board secretary was held by board member Hoover. However, since then, board member Hoover has transitioned to the board vice president seat. So we have a vacancy in the secretary seat. We did also recently learn that it does not need to be someone who is on the board. It could be a staff member, and it only makes sense. Miss Susie is really, she's taking the minutes. She's doing a lot of the board clerk responsibilities, and so I cannot think of anybody better and more responsible for this role than her.
I can see the excitement on your face. I'll look for a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, questions?
No.
Comments?
I'd just like to recognize Susie for like everything you do with the board documents, everything's set, the minutes, but also you also stay late. I think people need to know when we go back into closed session and you're here and you always have a smile on your face. And it's not only that, not today, but and you're a way better secretary than I was. So thank you. Or so acting secretary.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that. Thank you for your support. Thanks.
And your willingness to
Mhm.
be the secretary. We appreciate that.
Yeah, do we even ask if she accepts? Okay, all right. It's not up for a vote.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Passes unanimously.
Woo!
Okay, on to 4.4, which is a ratification of the LCSSP MOU. Dr. Felch.
4.3.
Yeah, E-rate.
Oh yeah, I just
E-rate.
skipped that. I crossed it off. We're done. No. 4.3. Thank you. E-rate.
Yes, so I'd like to invite Mario Valdivia, our Director of Technology, up. We did get 3 bids for E-rate consultants, including the current consultant that we use, and I'll hand it over to Mario.
Hello. So yeah, we got 3 bids. We've been using the same consultant for over 10 years. They've been really good with us, make sure that we're fully compliant. So I said, well, let's take a look and see what others offer, just to compare. So everything was pretty comparable. Pricing for our current vendor, Learning Tech, they're a little more expensive. However, what I did ask the questions on the services, Learning Tech is the only one that offers to do the RFPs and to work with us on the RFPs. The other services, they let us know, oh, we don't do that. You guys are on your own on that, which I've experienced in the past, and it's a lot of man hours. It's a lot of it takes away time from a lot of staff, where Learning Tech already does that. So I highly recommend Learning Tech just because they're with us every step of the way, and they make sure we're compliant with everything. And when we had the last board meeting too, we were talking about all the vendors. They help us understand and make sure that everything's I guess on par with the FCC. So, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Mario. Okay, I'll look for a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Learning Tech. Is there any discussion or questions? I have a quick comment, but if you guys, thank you for doing the research on and getting the 3 bids. I think that it's always important to us, and so appreciate that. I think the application process, as you explained, is something that we need, and something that we don't want to necessarily take on. So I'm happy to hear that the company you've proposed and recommended is doing that with us. So I'll be prepared to vote for it, but are any other questions or discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes 3-0. Now we can go to 4.4. I didn't cross it off yet. Dr. Felch?
Yeah, so 4.4, again, I already shared this with the board because the LCSSP grant submission was due previously. And so this is a ratification of this MOU. So this is, we can look at it as kind of supplemental to the community schools grant. The reason for the MOU is because we applied as a consortium. Vista Meridian is the fiscal agent within the MOU, but this MOU allows each of the schools to apply as a consortium, and then if we do receive the grant, to also receive the grant amongst all the schools.
Okay. Is there a motion?
A motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, that passes 3-0. Moving on to 4.5, travel costs. Dr. Felch.
Yeah, so this would allow Dr. Rial and a heritage teacher and a Meridian teacher to attend the 2026 Animatage Conference. It's in July in Santa Clara. This would be funded through the CTIG grant that we have received. We attended, Dr. Rial and a few teachers attended the same conference last year and then brought back a lot of learning that then they put into their classrooms to use these really high-tech Animatage tables. If you haven't checked it out, highly recommend taking a look. Yeah, this would be for travel and conference attendance for this conference.
Great. I'll look for a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Discussion, questions?
I really appreciate the proposals that you put together that outlines like very much detail what you expect to get. And I know we're going to talk about one in a second, but I just wanted to highlight that. And yeah, it looks very exciting. And yeah, I'm looking, anytime someone takes that much time to put something together that is worthwhile for our students in a way that shows what they're going to use it for. And I hope other boards saw that. Yeah, I'm excited to approve.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. Hope it goes well.
And I'm able to see one of the Animatage machines and the instruction that was going on with the students on it, and it just blows me away. I mean, I can't think of when I was going to school, if I had, you see the bullet going through a body and discussions about different ailments that the person had as a result of that, and being able to explore that live as a student was really incredible. So I recommend everybody take a look at the kind of tools that people have on our schools now. And on the grant, I appreciate that we're writing in travel into the grants so that we're covering our professional development that I think is really important, but could get costly if it's not covered in the grants. So I appreciate that as well. Okay. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes 3-0. Now we're moving to 4.6.
Yes, so more conference and more travel that is also covered by CTE grants. So this would provide the opportunity for Dr. Rial, Mr. Iyer, one of the Meridian teachers, and the FBLA instructor, advisor, along with 7 Meridian students who are part of the Future Business Leaders of America chapter to attend the National Fall Conference in Washington, D.C. And as I mentioned, the expenses would be covered through the K-12 SWP Round 7 grants.
Great. I'll take a look for a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, any comments?
I think it looks very exciting. Georgetown University Store, Capitol Hill. So yeah, I remember doing an internship in DC when I was undergrad, but this is high school students, so it's gonna be really good for them. Hope it goes well.
That's great.
Yeah, I have a request. I don't know if I'd be excited to approve regardless, but even given what Ms. Ahmad did today by having some of her students come and speak about what they learned at science camp, we'd love to, we're sending kids across the country to do something and really intentional, right? The travel day before with experiences looks like a great trip, but would love to hear from them when they come back.
Yes. So last month at the last board meeting, we had Jessica present. She was one of the students who went to the FBLA conference up in Northern California, got to visit Stanford University. Fast forward a few months, she's going to be attending the Stanford summer program.
That's great.
Wow.
Good. Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes 3-0. We're moving to 4.7, the updated VCPS calendar.
Yes. So this is mainly driven by the fact that now we solidified our dates for our annual staff retreat. The staff retreat is going to be held October 21st through the 23rd. So as a result, we moved the originally scheduled professional development days from right before Labor Day, which is when it was scheduled, to the 22nd and 23rd. 21st will actually be a shortened scheduled day to accommodate the staff retreat. And then we also are proposing moving the original PD day in October to September 21st. The reason for that is twofold. One, so we don't have two PDs just kind of back to back in October. The other thing is September 21st is Yom Kippur. And so LAUSD has that off. And so having a PD day there would also, we would probably see an attendance dip on that day if we did have school. So it does kind of counter that.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, questions, discussion? Just one question for me. How do we communicate calendar changes like this? I know that we have a calendar and I wouldn't want parents to not be well aware, so I'm sure you have a process.
Yeah, so it will be on the website. It will go out via Parent Square, and we'll make sure that it's communicated in all the same platforms that we communicate to parents from.
Great.
And then it's also in, I anticipated this, so I included it in the parent-student handbook, this new calendar. So you already approved the parent-student handbook, but this new calendar is also in there.
There you go. Good, I'm glad we approved that. Okay, see no other questions, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I hear 3, that's 3-0, moving on. We previously pulled 4.8, so it's no longer on the agenda. We're now moving to 4.9, which is the Palm Lane use permit for facility use agreement.
Yes, so last month, the board approved Palm Lane's facilities use agreement. Since then, there's been some follow-up and back and forth. The Anaheim Elementary School District had not yet approved the facilities use agreement. We had a little back and forth in coordination with our attorneys and insurance, because the back and forth was specific about insurance language in the facilities use agreement. We happen to use the same insurance provider, ASKIP, as Anaheim Elementary does. So we asked them to all get in the same room and figure it out. And so we've updated that language specifically around insurance and specifically child sexual assault insurance. And now the Anaheim Elementary School District last week approved that the updated facilities use agreement that they're asking us to bring back to our board and approve.
Okay, so it's just a revision that we're now
It's just a
approving.
revision. Yep.
Okay, and they've signed this time, so we're
Correct.
good. Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any questions, discussion? I guess I jumped the gun on my comments. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes 3-0. Moving to 4.10, child welfare and attendance social worker job description.
Yes. So going back to the same grant that we or the board approved in item 4.4 for the MOU, that grant, if we do receive it, would help fund a child welfare and attendance social worker whose primary responsibility would be to work to reduce chronic absenteeism and increase ADA percentages at each of our school sites. However, we are not going to hear back until July when we're in the middle of summer. And so I wanted to bring this job description to the board beforehand. So if we do receive this, we can move ahead on hiring, interviewing and hiring for the position, even though we might not have a board meeting until August. We will only fill this position if we receive the grant. If we do not receive the grant, we will not fill this position unless a grant down the road comes that helps provide funding.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion questions?
I think it's a great support. We're talking about attendance. I think my hope would be that I know we're probably moving this through to try to get it quick, but like reporting to the superintendent/superintendent, what's the rationale for them under that?
Oh, so in the job description, reporting to the assistant superintendent and
Yeah.
superintendent. So it doesn't necessarily fall under any of the other positions in the org chart directly. And when we think about attendance, it's work that I do a lot of with the school sites, and so having the position report directly to me is something that made more sense than somebody else in the org chart.
Okay. Again, I think just in terms of thinking about your capacity and execution of what needs to happen, I think I'm in favor of this. I just want to point that out in terms of when you scaling capacity of team, but also alignment within student services in that program. Could be alignment there. We talk a lot about attendance, and it was great to hear stuff about like iPads and stuff like that. And I know that our schools are doing a lot more, right, with their attendance plans. But it would be great to know what are the attendance engagement plans for each school site, so we know that someone stepping in, right, is not just coming to solve problems that maybe we could be doing with some tier 1 or tier 2 work correct across the organization. So again, it seems like if we get the grant, this is a great use of it. I just would like to see it also paired with, when you hire attendance clerks, sometimes people are just like, yep, attendance, because it's tough, right? That you have schools in a lot of different counties, communities, so much of it's going to be relational work. You want to make sure that this job is going to actually set them up. So knowing what those attendance plans are and making sure that they're aligned to the right supervisor. But I don't know if that makes sense. Those are just my comments.
Thank you. Mr. Watt, you okay? Bless you. Okay. I think that's well stated. That's all I say. All right, so we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes 3-0. And that brings us to the end of the action items. And now we'll move on to board comments. And I'll start with Sir Watt, if that's okay. Any
Sure.
comments?
Yeah, no, just wanted to thank everyone for again. I mean, for me, it's been a learning curve. I think someone was saying today. So yeah, each time I attend the board meetings, I learn something new, and also get to learn more about our schools, which is really exciting. So, and I guess the additional part was listening to the beautiful music. That's a good way to get started. And yeah, I also really enjoyed the student presentation. So it was nice to hear from the 3 students. So I appreciate all of your hard work. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Sir Watt. It's been great to have you. I just want to name that, again, immense amount of gratitude for our school leaders. Like what you guys are doing, getting more from the more I learn about you guys and your schools, the more impressed I am. And so really grateful to be a part of it. Thank you so much for bringing those students down. And it didn't seem like there was a lot to present, the performance, but it really meant a lot to me. And I hope that whatever you need for us to be able to express that back to the amazing work that they're doing, but also just gratitude for coming. I do that drive from LA all the time and it's long. So just huge, immense gratification for the culture that you guys are setting in this organization to shine the light. I've even been trying to tell my organization about the stat recognition, the student recognition, because you can feel it. And so huge shout out to you for increasing the number of parents that we had take the parent, satisfaction survey, whatever the parent survey is, just huge amount of growth all around. And so very grateful. And I hope it didn't get lost in the sauce of all that financial stuff of our concerns. I'm really hopeful for this organization. I'm just also maybe concerned that I'm doing the right thing by making sure that we're setting budgets that are accurate so we don't have to make cuts later. And so I appreciate you guys working through that with me. And Yeah, huge shout out to the band team. That was incredible. Oh, and last one. Sorry, I was gonna say thank you for please keep inviting me to these events. I know I haven't made it to them. I work in schools too, so it's really hard to try to break away. But the more that you share, the more that we're going to be able to show up and be able to be familiar with your schools. So thanks.
I'm glad you ended there because I was going to start there. I appreciate, I won't be able to make a number of the end of the year events that I had hoped to make this year, but but when it's on my calendar or when I see it come through my calendar, it gives me, one, joy to see the great things that you're doing, but two, the expectation that I need to start planning now so I can be there next year. I mean, I'm super excited that we got to see the band tonight because I know I can't be at the 27th, and I think it's going to be a fabulous event to honor a group of people that are doing, just from the instructor to the students doing a great, phenomenal job. So keep the invites coming, very much appreciated. I think this is state testing week. So thank you, principals, for being here during state testing week when I know you're managing a lot to make sure that that happens and that our students get the best opportunity to test and test when there's all kinds of other things that they're maybe out ill or making up and those kinds of things. So I know that's going on. I know it's a lot of pressure, and I know it's important to get good participation. And I'm sure you guys have been working on it a lot. So, and then I also just wanted to add that, the next time that this board meets, I think school will be wrapped. We'll be out of session. So I wanted to be one of the first to preheat the conversation of congratulating you on a phenomenal year. We'll celebrate it after we get to the end, but we recognize that, that you've got a lot to do before that happens. You've got another amazing graduation that's happening at our high school, and a lot of other matriculation events that as people grow on. So, thank you all for what you do, and with that, I think we will close this part of the meeting. We'll go into our closed session, and then we'll be back and we will see most of you on June 15th, Monday. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, we'll bring us back into open session. And tonight there's nothing, and we just closed closed session. There's nothing to report for closed session tonight. And so I will get ready to adjourn the meeting, take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Okay,
Second.
motion and a second. It's 9:03, and I will adjourn the meeting at 9:03. All in favor, aye? Aye.